Gravitational tells you stories which others won't. And tonight we will tell you about this new strategic map that is being drawn.
They say your enemy's enemy is your friend. Is that the foundation of the new defense bridge between India and America?
This is what separates us from others who claim to be telling you global stories that matter. In the last 3 days, WION has been traveling across Syria. You are in Latakia city right now. Tell us, what is the situation on ground at Gravitas? We don't just tell you stories from selected countries from around the world.
2 years since the Myanmar military coup, the people of Myanmar continue to live in a nightmare.
Because it does not suit their propaganda, or because they are too scared to speak truth to power.
Stay connected with the world through WION. Like the page on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter for new alerts. Instagram for videos and images. And the website for the latest news, views and analysis. WIONews.com. World is one.
Mutiny, Russian generals still missing. Wagner boss wanted to punish them. US president flounders again. Says Russia losing in Iraq. Wreckage of Titan submersible found. Focus now on finding what led to the implosion.
Hello everyone and welcome to WION Live Broadcast with me, Susan Tehrani from New York City. First, let's take a look at this hour's headlines. Russia claims that its forces has killed 2 Ukrainian generals and up to 50 officers in a strike on the eastern Ukrainian city of Kramatorsk. The EU's top diplomat warns that a weaker Russian President Putin would pose a greater danger after Wagner's aborted mutiny sparked the largest political crisis in decades in the nuclear-armed country. Lithuania's president says that he's extremely concerned about the developments in its neighbor, Belarus, and the presence of Wagner mercenary group chief Yevgeny Prigozhin. The Rwandan government says that it remains committed to a British plan to send asylum seekers to the African country despite a ruling by the UK's Court of Appeal that the scheme was unlawful. And Sri Lanka's central bank unveils a far-reaching domestic debt restructuring plan aimed at restoring stability after an economic and political crisis last year that led to the toppling of then-President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. The whereabouts of a top Russian military general have been unknown to the public since Saturday, sparking speculations regarding his involvement in the recent mutiny by the mercenary group Wagner. General Sergei Surovikin, the ruthless one-time leader of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, was last seen telling the Wagner group mercenaries to stop their uprising. In an uncomfortable appeal likened to a hostage video, according to reports, the U.S. officials say that he appeared to have advanced knowledge of Wagner leader Prigozhin's plans for an armed mutiny in which Wagner mercenaries captured the city of Rostov and headed towards Moscow before cutting an amnesty deal. The President Vladimir Putin later likened to mutiny to an attempted civil war. Observers suspect that Surovikin and some other Russian officials might have facilitated Prigozhin's revolt. This, if confirmed, may explain the Russian army's lukewarm response to the mutiny. While the mutiny went on, concerns of a potential coup persisted. President Joe Biden said that it was difficult to determine the impact of the mutiny on President Putin's position, as senior generals, including Surovikin, reaffirmed their support to the Kremlin. Although the well-publicized links between Surovikin and Prigozhin have fueled rumors that the latter may be purged or put under investigation for supporting the mutiny. But what is known is that when the Wagner fighters began their quote-unquote march for justice, Surovikin had urged the mercenary group to end its hostilities and return to their bases. While Prigozhin is currently in Belarus, Surovikin's whereabouts remain unknown. For more on this, we are being joined by Edward P. Joseph from Washington, D.C. He's a fellow at the Johns Hopkins University. Thank you so much, Edward, for joining us on WION, and welcome back. There have been so much speculations about the future of Russia after these recent incidents, but many believe that we should not rule out Russian President Vladimir Putin, for now at least. Your thoughts?
Well, look, the one thing that we know is that Vladimir Putin emerges from this startling, remarkable armed uprising weakened. There's just simply no way of avoiding that fact. There's, regardless of any conjecture, speculations about the murky relationships of Prigozhin and potentially General Surovikin, who, as your piece mentioned, it has not been seen for a while. Regardless of all of those speculations, the bottom line is that Vladimir Putin is weakened from this. He faced an armed uprising. There has been no punishment so far for Yevgeny Prigozhin, the head of the Wagner Group, who has been sent to Belarus. And this is an open challenge to the authority of President Putin, who himself called out this and said this was treasonous. And yet he has let Mr. Prigozhin go into Belarus. So regardless of the speculations, Vladimir Putin is weakened. This is a clear demonstration of severe disarray and disaffection within the military ranks of Russia about the conduct of this catastrophic war launched by President Putin. Please.
And let me just follow up on that. EU's Joseph Borrell says that a weaker Russian President Putin would pose a greater danger ultimately to the world. Would you agree with that?
These type of comments are not helpful, and they're very confusing. Obviously, President Putin is a dangerous character in a stronger state. It was in a position of relative strength when everyone thought of Vladimir Putin as this strategic master genius that he launched the war. So how does a weakened Putin become more dangerous than an empowered Putin who launched this disaster that has really had global implications, including, of course, for those who are watching, your many viewers around the globe who are watching in their own countries. This was a unilateral, catastrophic decision, unprovoked by Ukraine, by Russia, in the person of Vladimir Putin, to attack and create all of these global consequences. So he did that, Putin, in a strengthened state. So how is he more dangerous now in a weakened state? Yes, he may feel threatened and weakened and may want to demonstrate his power. I'm speaking about President Putin, but fundamentally, he has been weakened. And that means his capacity to mobilize the forces that he needs to threaten the West are challenged to some degree. So, yes, he may be in some panicky mode, but either way, he is in a weakened position. And I think the main point here is really for those countries and leaders who have been on the fence, and that includes India and India Prime Minister Modi, who've been on the fence about Russia, to get off the fence and to understand that the only solution here is further isolation of President Putin, and that is what will move towards serious negotiations and an end to this catastrophic war. Please.
Okay, Edward P. Joseph, joining us from Washington, D.C. Thank you so much for those comments, and we'll speak to you very soon.
You're welcome.
As Eid al-Adha celebrations are underway world over, Sweden is in the spotlight for allowing protesters to burn the Muslim holy book, the Quran, outside Swedish capital's main mosque on Wednesday. The demonstrations coincided with the first day of three-day Eid celebrations. According to reports, a man tore up and burned a Quran outside Stockholm's central mosque as a crowd gathered to watch. Police authorities later charged the man with agitation against an ethnic or national group. This after they granted permit to allow demonstrations outside of the mosque. Swedish police had earlier given the go-ahead to the contentious protest after the court overturned a ban saying that it infringed on people's freedom of speech. World leaders have reacted to and condemned the incident. Russian President Vladimir Putin has rebuked the West for disrespecting people's religious feelings. His comments came to light during a visit to the Juma Mosque in the Russian city of Derbent.
It is sacred for Muslims, and it must be, and it is sacred for other confessions. We know that in other countries they act differently and don't respect the religious feeling of people. They also say it's not a crime. In our country, it is a crime.
Turkey has also reacted strongly to the incident. Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan strongly condemned the incident and called it unacceptable to allow anti-Islam protests in the name of freedom of expression. Iraq denounced the move, calling it racist. The government also reiterated how these acts actually go against the principle of freedom of expression. According to the Moroccan Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the country has recalled its ambassador to Sweden indefinitely. The incident can complicate matters for Sweden's already delicate diplomatic relations with Turkey. It could also hurt the former's bid for NATO membership before the bloc summit in July. You may recall that Turkey has been a roadblock in Sweden's formal induction into the NATO alliance. A NATO member itself, Ankara holds Stockholm accountable for sheltering Kurdish militants allegedly responsible for the 2016 coup. Next year's elections will mark America's 60th presidential contest. Joe Biden is leading a Western drive to support Ukraine's resistance to the Russian invasion launched in February of last year. However, in a new verbal slip-up, the U.S. president said on Wednesday that Russian President Vladimir Putin was losing the war in Iraq when he meant to say Ukraine.
It's hard to tell, but he's clearly losing the war in Iraq. He's losing the war at home. And he has become a bit of a flyer around the world.
It was the second slip-up in 24 hours. On Tuesday, Biden corrected himself at a fundraising event referring to China when he meant India, whose Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited the White House a week ago. The miscues are not unusual for the 80-year-old president. A new poll, however, found that more than 2 of 3 respondents are concerned about President Biden's mental and physical health. The NBC poll shows 68% of respondents have some concern about Biden's mental health fitness, and 55% have major concerns. The president says U.S. economy is thriving under what he now touts as Biden comics, even as a new poll showed that it could be a hard sell as the foundation for his 2024 campaign. According to the survey from the Associated Press, NORC Center for Public Affairs Research, only 1 in 3 U.S. adults approve of his economic leadership. The 34% figure is even lower than his overall approval rating of 41%. Days after the Titan submersible imploded on a voyage and killed 5 people, a Canadian ship brought ashore the debris of the vessel on Wednesday. It not only contains the debris of the vessel, but some other fragments as well, which are being presumed as human remains. The remnants of the sub were brought to St. John's Harbor in Newfoundland, which is where the Titan had originally departed from before it went missing. The U.S. Coast Guard said presumed human remains were also found within the debris. However, the nature and scope of the remains are not known yet. These remains will now be handed over to a U.S. port for analysis and testing by a Marine Board of Investigation. The board was set up this week to conduct a formal inquiry into the loss of the Titan. A formal analysis will be done by U.S. medical professionals as well. The deep-sea submersible, which is operated by OceanGate Expeditions, was discovered in pieces after days of frantic search operations. The remains were located less than 500 meters from the bow of the Titanic wreckage by a robotic diving vehicle. Investigation of the debris is expected to help verify the cause of the tragic explosion underwater, which killed all 5 people on board. The passengers on board the sub included OceanGate Expedition CEO Stockton Rush, British billionaire Hamish Harding, Pakistani-born business leader Shahzada Dawood with his 19-year-old son Suleiman, and French oceanographer Paul-Henri Nargeolet. The analysis of presumed remains, if successful, will formally establish that these 5 men are indeed dead. The universe is humming. Every star, every black hole, every supernova is singing. It's a celestial chorus, something which holds clues to the formation of our cosmos. For the first time, astronomers have announced that they have heard the background hum rumbling throughout the universe. Watch this report to know what really are these gravitational waves.
Gravitational waves are ripples in space-time, which is the fabled fabric of the universe. They are caused by some of the most violent and energetic processes in the cosmos. These waves are invisible, traveling at the speed of light, squeezing and stretching anything in their path as they pass by. They were predicted more than 100 years ago by Albert Einstein. The physicist theorized that something special happens when two bodies, such as planets or stars, orbit each other. He believed that this kind of movement could cause ripples in space. And for the first time, scientists have found their first tangible evidence. Astronomers have heard the faint hum of gravitational waves echoing throughout the universe for the first time.
So, by measuring the signal that these supermassive black hole binaries are producing, we can infer what the history is of mergers of galaxies in the universe. How often do galaxies merge? How big are they? How big are the black holes that live inside those galaxies? And we can infer how structure is assembled in the universe through cosmic time.
The breakthrough, made by hundreds of scientists using radio telescopes in North America, Europe, China, India, and Australia, after years of work, the findings is hailed as a major milestone that opens a new window into the universe.
This is really the beginning of nanohertz gravitational wave astronomy, and what's next is making maps of the gravitational wave background and going after the individual supermassive black hole binaries.
The discovery has excited scientists as it promises to open a new window on black holes, the most mysterious objects in our universe. These powerful gravitational waves are created when a star explodes to form a supernova, or two massive stars orbit each other, or when two black holes collide. Astronomers say the signals may be coming from merging supermassive black holes. The researchers say these cosmic monsters were caught in a cosmic dance, circling each other in orbits that shrink across millions of years. These black holes are supermassive, millions to billions of times larger than our Sun. Radio telescopes around the world were aimed at a total of 115 pulsars throughout the Milky Way. Scientists then measured the incredibly small differences in the timing of the pulses, searching for telltale signs of gravitational waves.
So it's going to be very important in our understanding of the evolution of supermassive black holes. And as I said, this is just a detection. In the future, we'll have much more information.
Studying these low-frequency gravitational waves could reveal more about this early expansion of the universe, and possibly shed light on the mystery of dark matter. It could also help them understand more about how black holes and galaxies form and evolve. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
The Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences has announced a fresh list of 398 new members joining the team. And this year, a lot of Indians, too, are selected for the prestigious Academy membership. Among them are RRR stars Ram Charan and JR NTR, the India Film's Oscar-winning composer M.M. Keeravani, and lyricist Chandra Bose have also received invitations from the Academy. Indian filmmaker Mani Ratnam and Karan Johar, too, have made it to their list of invitees. Filmmaker Shaunak Sen, whose documentary All That Breeds was nominated at this year's Academy Award, is also an invitee. In the cinematographer category, KK Senthil Kumar, who worked on S.S. Rajamouli's RRR, has also been invited to become an Academy member. The list of invitees also include other prominent names from Hollywood, like Elvis star Austin Butler, Oscar winner Ke Huy Quan, and singer Taylor Swift. But how are the above-mentioned people chosen as members? Well, the Academy membership process is by sponsorship, not application. Candidates must be sponsored by 2 Academy members from the branch to which the candidate seeks admission. Over 1,000 industry professionals are up for admission into the Academy each year. Not everyone makes the cut. According to the Academy, the membership is limited to film artists working in production and theater release motion pictures. The criteria for membership selection is based on, quote, professional qualifications with an ongoing commitment to representation, inclusion, and equity. Unlike others, the Academy has continued to make progress in diversifying its ranks. Of the 2023 class, 40% identify as women, 34% belong to underrepresented ethnic and racial communities, and 52% are from 50 countries and territories outside the United States. There are 76 Oscar nominees, including 22 winners among the invitees. That's all from us for now at WION Live Broadcast in New York City. I'm Susan Tehrani, and thank you so much for staying with us and watching. Don't go away. A lot more news and headlines coming up only on WION World is One.